Audio and video on demand. Stay connected. 830WCCO.com.
Wow. Look at that.
I'll try to answer if I can. Otherwise, I'll just kind of start at the nose here and point out any little bits and pieces that I can think of as I go around. But to start off with, obviously, it's a, well, maybe not obviously, it's 737-800.
737-800.
800 is the series, and they call it a NG for next generation or new generation, which means it's got a sophisticated flight deck, avionics package, all that other stuff, fuel efficient, a lot of composite material versus aluminum. Like the new 787, that Dreamliner you hear about, that entire airplane is composite. When it finally comes out. But this one, so we fly mostly the 800, but we do have two new 7-700s that are in our fleet as of about a month ago that we found are a little bit smaller. This one runs, I think it's, with the winglets on there, it's 117 feet wide from tip to tip. And then on the tail, it's 129 feet long.
How many people can fly on that plane?
This one here will seat 162 with 12 in first class, 150 in coach.
You going to take us inside?
We will.
I need to be closer. This is the black box is in here?
Yep.
Wow. You can't hear what you're saying. I want to see, can I show what it looks like?
Certainly.
Okay. We're going to look at where the black box is. Oh my gosh.
There is line maintenance, probably intermediate maintenance, and then heavy maintenance. This was what we call kind of intermediate maintenance. We use our Tuesdays as a down day to do that. Or the airplanes, it's not a heavy flying day in the way we fly, so we use Tuesdays to accomplish that. Cool. So that's when we bring them in the hangar, we take some of the stuff off, open the panels. Otherwise, it's called line maintenance, and it's more of just to come in routine, kick the tires.
We hear a lot about bird interference, and not just unique at Minneapolis-St. Paul, but at airports across the country. Do these guys ever open the cowling on this and find, like, feathers and stuff in there?
As we walk around, they have what they call, obviously with the U.S. Air, but a bird strike, and there's inspections and stuff, but it's never usually a surprise to us. We'll get birds and they either bounce off, the radome or the window.
Average.
And we've got them, they hit the lip, and back when I was a mechanic, there's times when they'd say, yeah, we hit a goose, and they hit the gear when it was down, and they start to stink after a while.
I
the feathers
suppose.
and stuff will be in there.
Gross.
If one goes down the engine, this is what they call a high bypass fan engine, which means that you can see through here. That's the first section is the fan section, but the bypass section is here, and that's what does really all the muscle for the engine. That's what produces the air going out the back end, which causes the airplane to go forward. And I think it's about 78% of the thrust comes from that. But what you see here in the core is the part where you just asked, John, where if something goes down there, and we do get a direct bird ingestion in here, is the guys are going there with what they call a borescope, and there's plugs along the engine where they open up, stick it in there, and it's just like a camera on a little deal. And
check each aspect.
And they'll check all the blades, because it just stacks the blades as they go down the... Can you see the starter again? This is a starter, and it's an air starter, so it takes air from here off the APU, which it's called. It sits in the tail of the airplane. I'll show you when we walk by there.
Okay.
But that produces ground electricity and air. So when they start it, they divert it till here, it starts the engine spinning, and then when it does, they put fuel to it, and it'll light off and stuff internal of the engine.
Is this what we hear if we're sitting on a flight before they're just getting ready to back away from the gate, and we hear that? Like the starter motor? No, that's not that?
Nope. I'll show you what you hear there. What you hear there is the flaps coming down.
Oh.
The motors for the flaps.
Okay.
And I'll stick my head up in the wheel well, and I'll show you what you hear there. When you hear that, it'll like spin, and it'll stop, and then it'll spin again. Yeah. It's just big jack screws, and I'll show you them when we go by. But anyways, Heidi was saying here, you get, because we're in maintenance, the cowls are off, so you get to see quite a bit more of the engine here.
So when you're sitting on a flight, any airline, anywhere, and you hear that, that's this deal here. Come here. Look up in here. That's this thing. And what this does is actually cranks the flaps. When this motor over here turns, and it starts to do this, that's where you get that. I always thought it was a bad starter.
You thought we were in trouble?
The Bendix gear is shot. You got to get that Bendix spring replaced here, because that ain't never going to go, Andy. But, yeah, that's the flaps going down, and I learned that while we were out here today.
Pretty cool.
Yes, I've learned something once again.
Looks like a spaceship.
You were talking about on the engine, the starter, what starts, and I mentioned the APU. That's the APU, and it stands for an auxiliary power unit. Essentially, it's just a little motor, much smaller than them, but it provides air and electricity to the airplane when it's on the ground. So, say you're off the gate and you're not plugged in, that's what's giving it air and electricity to the airplane. So you can heat, cool the airplane, provide electricity.
So this thing out the back is not another engine then?
It doesn't help the airplane.
It doesn't fly at anything?
No, it doesn't fly.
Oh, okay. Because when I see these sitting out there, I think that, that's a 3-engine job. But it's not. It's just...
some of them have the 3, but that's a real big one sitting on top. Like the 27 DC-10s.
So that's a little engine.
But that'll supply air to the engines, and they take it off there. It spins that starter. When it's done, it shuts the valve off, and then this one here happens to be an airborne auxiliary power unit, meaning that they can use it in flight for an emergency for power and air if they need to.
The belly of the plane.
The cargo hold is what we call it. Yep.
Or the cargo hold. Yeah.
Can you walk inside there?
Yeah. Well, you can crouch and kind of walk, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Front one's a little easier to see when the actual UDAF, I don't know if you can get it, but the black boxes that really matter sit behind in here, and that's the cockpit voice recorder.
Right.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, and it sits all the way here because it's obviously in the back of the airplane.
Sure. So what I saw over there was not.
It was black boxes, but not the ones that you always hear that we had to pick up the black box, which is a cockpit voice recorder and a flight data recorder. And the cockpit voice recorder sits here, and the flight data recorder is actually up in the ceiling in the back of the airplane in the galley. So.
Why is it separate than those black boxes?
Because that's where all the avionics equipment. I guess for lack of a better term, they figure if one's going to go in, they're going to go in nose first.
Sure. I think we'll edit that out.
Employees have been trapped in there and ended up with a cold-free ride to Las Vegas. I think both times we did it. One was on one of our DC-10s, but they get to Las Vegas, they land the airplane, they open up the door, and there's some guy in there dressed in women's clothing. It's colder than you know what, and he's in there trying to stay warm, and it's dark, so he's just ripping bags open, trying to put on whatever he can.
Oh no!
And they go, well, I mean, these will have some heat in there, but I mean, temperature at altitude is negative 40. So
it's 40 below.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I understand the need to keep warm, but when you open it up and the one guy had the bra, it's just like, that's not a warm garment.
Maybe it made him feel good. I don't know.
It's like, you might as well feel pretty when you land.
Exactly.
You want it to look good and fresh. Good to see everything.
That is really cool.
It just showed up a couple days ago, and we got to put it on next week, but now we have this laying around.
What is this?
That's actually the engine that you've seen over here that was all opened up.
Yep.
It's a brand new one.
It's a brand new engine?
It's not brand, it's freshly overhauled.
Freshly overhauled.
Well, do we get that from Delta?
Delta does our overhauls, yep. So it actually came off of this airplane, 90 days ago, and then we sent it down there and they sent it to the shop. And that's where all this stuff back here, it completely gets disassembled. They go inside and...
It's pretty.
It's pretty expensive.
Thanks.
I like your engine, Wendy.
Yeah, thanks.
Craig's
Craig's especially proud of this one.
That would explain the $50 million overall. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that?
The WCCO homepage, 830wcco.com.